gentlemen, basketball fans, welcome to the championship game of the St. Francis Holiday Hoop Fest. Their contestants for our grand finale are the Mira Costa Mustangs and Oak Hills Bulldogs. Now announcing the starting lineups. First, for the Mira Costa Mustangs, a senior, number 4, Bryson Breiker. A senior, number 2, Christian Kranz. A senior, number 3, Jacob De Armas. A senior, number 14, Luke Hammerschmidt. And the senior, number 12, Eneasi Easy Piuleni. Mira Costa basketball, coached by assistants Gordon Sutton, Jay Stewart, Greg Sarkisian, Jordan Mays, and Neil Hyams, under head coach Neil Perlmutter. And now the starters for the Oak Hills Bulldogs. A junior, number 3, Mo Rios. A junior, number 35, Jeremiah Lar. A sophomore, number 23, Mar Landry. A senior, number 12, Mark Jones. And a senior, number 5, Ashton McCullough. The Bulldogs are coached by assistants Joe Yesbat, Chris Stallworth, Matt Smith, Rocky Moore, Ray Craven, and Rodney Clark, under head coach Robert Alexander.
You all good?
Coming off the bench for Costa, Jack Mondello, Jaden Keensinger, Seamus Victor, Matt Bender, Max Jacobs, Luke McHenry, Logan Dugdale, Jalen Maxwell, Pat Spell, Luke Lowell, and Royce Riley. Coming off the bench for the Bulldogs, Hunter Wilcox, Daniel Moore, Yellow Walker, Andrew Ayala, Jalen Fonseca, Austin McWilliams, Elijah Connor, and Jordan Thomas.
All right, Alexis Moore, we have made it. Day 4, the championship game of the St. Francis Holiday Hoop Fest. We have the Mira Costa Mustangs against the Oak Hills Bulldogs. Are you ready?
Matt, I'm ready. I'm excited. This one is off to a fast start. Mira Costa controlling the tip. Piuleni's shot is no good, but Hammerschmidt cleaning up the glass per usual, and Piuleni's going to get another chance. That's Hammerschmidt's second offensive rebound in the first possession, Matt. I was really excited for this matchup. I think a lot of people going into this matchup expected Mira Costa to get to this game, right? They won their first 3 games by huge margins, double-digit victories in pretty much everything, and they pretty much controlled it wire to wire, right? Oak Hills had a little bit more of a challenging road to get here. It relied on a Mark Jones buzzer beater 3 to defeat Westlake in the quarterfinals, and then a back and forth matchup in which they started to pull away in the second half against Long Beach Poly. Ended up winning that one pretty handsomely. So we've got 2 heavyweights here, one a little bit more of an underdog in Oak Hills, and Mira Costa looking to solidify their stamp, their dominance on this St. Francis Holiday Hoop Fest.
Yeah, 2 very different paths here, as you mentioned. Oak Hills really had to get scrappy, was the underdog in every game. Mira Costa one-handedly. A lot to watch out for here and a lot of fun as we begin with a 1-0 Mira Costa lead.
There's an important player right there for Oak Hills, excuse me. That's Mark Jones, who just missed the shot. They're going to be probably looking to get him going, Matt. You know, I got a couple of keys to the game on both sides as Mira Costa gets the first field goal to go, and they've got a 3-0 lead in this first period. A couple of keys to the game for Mira Costa. No time for complacency, right, Matt? We talked about, obviously, they have had dominant victories pretty much this entire tournament, but that's no time for them to be complacent. They got to come into this game the same way that they came into the last three, with matching or meeting that aggression with aggression. Also, they got to get Piuleni and Jacob De Armas, two heavyweight, to their engine guys going. There's De Armas with the poke away, and it taps it right to Piuleni, right on cue. And right here, look at that, my man, walk-in three, nothing but net. That's a 6-0 lead right there for the Mustangs, Matt. Right on cue, that's one of my keys to the game. And then press, baby, press. We already see it right off the bat. Moises Rios breaks it. He answers with a three of his own. But Mira Costa, they're going to fire away on that press all the way and get out in transition, look to wreak havoc, as Hammerschmidt's going to get his second chance at the free throw line. Yeah,
what we see right now, right off the bat, is one of your keys here for Oak Hills as well. Handle the pressure. They did it not too bad there with Rios getting that three. It'll be a big factor throughout this entire game, as well as being big at the little things. That was really the story for Oak Hills against Poly last game for them. Way undersized, but Jeremiah Lark battled inside. You would have thought he was 6'10" in that game. The way he had a presence on the board, he boxed out, he dove on the floor, and he really made that advantage for Long Beach Poly go completely away. So I love that third key for them as well. Really excited to see this game take off as we have Mira Costa off to an early 4-point lead.
There's that quick bench rotation right there, Matt. Coach Neil Permuller, he's got a lot of guys that he obviously can tap into. You know, he keeps a short rotation, or excuse me, a long rotation, short leash, so to speak. He gets his guys in and out so they can stay fresh. And there he is, right on cue. He checks in the game. He gets an easy bucket in that transition. That's McCarthy Bednar with that deuce right there. And this is a guy with the ball right here, Ashton McCullough, who I'm going to be interested to watch, Matt. He did a great job playing against Giovanni Ruff last game, as Piolini is going to get the foul on Lark there. McCullough did a lot of the dirty work. He did a lot of things that aren't going to show up in the stats. His stats from last game, 12 points, 5 assists, 7 rebounds, but he was instrumental in stopping one of the go guys for Poly and Giovanni Ruff.
I love that take there from Lark. Both these teams, Mira Costa and Oak Hills, very athletic. Mira Costa has a little bit more size, but both McCullough and Lark are very athletic players. They both play above the rim, and we saw it right there on that take, drawing the foul, shooting two here.
Free throw is good by Lark. You know, Matt, he was the player of the game against Poly. He obviously stepped up in a big way. Do you anticipate the size advantage that Mira Costa has? Do you think it'll affect Lark, or do you think he'll be able to kind of get after it early?
You know, based off what I saw with him against Poly, I think he's just going to be okay, right? Poly was even bigger than Mira Costa, and he was just fine, right? He had his best game of the tournament, settled in really nice. As I mentioned before, did all the little things, so I expect another big game from Lark here.
Jacob De Armas hit a three the last time down. That one rims off, and Oak Hills controls rebound. And here's exactly what we talked about, Matt. That pressure leads to another cross-court heave from Jones. That one gets picked off, and another layup from Mira Costa. Make or miss, they're going to press, Matt. We've got our first timeout from Oak Hills, as Coach Alexander cannot be happy with the way that his teams come out and kind of handle this pressure early.
Yeah, this is what Mira Costa has done to everybody all tournament, right? There's a reason that they've won every game by a 20-point margin. Last game, they had 43 bench points as well, which was telling just how large that lead got. But this is what Mira Costa does. And Oak Hill's no stranger to this, right? They've been down, I want to say, almost in every game. So they just got to get settled in.
Definitely, I agree. I think, obviously, that height advantage, the combination of the height and athleticism is going to make it challenging anytime you go against a team like Mira Costa. If you're Oak Hills, I would look to obviously get that ball in the middle. They got to keep attacking. Obviously, when there's pressure, there's two guys guarding you, there's going to be an open guy. I'm sure that's what Coach Alexander's preaching to his guys. And then on the other side, Coach Perlmutter has to be excited. His team's out to an early 9-point lead.
Yeah, great start here if you're Mira Costa. Oak Hill's already on that 9-point disadvantage here. Need to get their guys going. Looking at the current stats, you know, it's hard with only 5 points on the board to have any real stats, but Mark Jones has been a big factor for them. He had 18 points the last game. The game before that, he had 17 with a big game winner as well. So they just need to settle in.
I think that's really all it is. They get settled. Looks like they're back out on the court. Coach Perlmutter imploring his guys to hustle out there on the court. He wants to continue to turn up this pressure, and they're right back in that 2-2-1 extended press. McCullough's got it on the side, and it looks like another turnover. This is exactly what Mira Costa does, Matt. They obviously speed you up. They get the pressure. They force you. They force things to appear like they're there, and then they take them away just as quickly with their athleticism.
Certainly not the way Oak Hills wanted to come out of the timeout there. What I've seen them do twice in the trap in this against this press with Mira Costa is they've gone right to the trapping spots, right? The first one before the timeout, they were in that corner on the baseline there. Perfect spot to trap. This previous one where McCullough threw it away, half-court corner as well. Another place where you love to trap with your press. So, as you mentioned before, they need to keep that ball in the middle against this press.
Keep it in the middle and out of those dead zones, as you alluded to, Matt. There's Landry. He gets the pocket picked, and it goes out of bounds. Quick substitutions right here. P. Lenny's going to come back into the game and replace De Armas, as well as Bryson Breiker. And for Oak Hills, Noah Walker checks into the game for the first time this evening.
Starting to get a little bit of dangerous territory here for Oak Hills. Down 12, and Mira Costa seems to already be in their groove.
They definitely appear in a rhythm. Oak Hills playing us, looks like a sort of match-up zone. Lenny's getting all the way to the basket. Nice challenge there by Lark. They head back the other way, and this is where they got to capitalize, Matt, in transition, as Mark Jones' three is no good. P. Lenny cleans up the glass, so they only get one opportunity there.
Oak Hills likes to run, so misses are going to be super important for them. If Mira Costa is going down to scoring and they're trying to match them basket for basket, that's not Oak Hills basketball. At least that hasn't been their basketball here at the tournament. Their basketball is, let's get a stop, let's box out, let's get this rebound, and then let's go on the fast break from there.
Great Lenny with a nice dump off. Hammerschmidt dropping the hammer down low. Mira Costa commanding 14-point lead with just over 3 to play, as Hammerschmidt's going to pick up the blocking foul on the other end. Landry's going to shoot 2.
I love how Jones initiated that break there. Mira Costa made the bucket. They got the ball in right away. Jones didn't hesitate, right? He knew the pressure was coming. He saw Landry open down, tossed it to him. Then we had one-on-one at the basket. Landry super athletic. He draws the foul.
I love that, Matt. Getting out in transition early, getting after it before the defense really has time to set up. I mean, obviously, we've talked a lot about it. Mira Costa, they're going to press whether they make or miss, and it can sometimes be challenging, obviously, if you're the defensive team to get set up, if the team's going to take it right off the rim or right out of the basket and get after it early, as Hammerschmidt gets another layup off of a beautiful pass by Bryson Breiker.
Hammerschmidt is having a game already with 8 points.
Rios 3 drop, much needed bucket right there for the Bulldogs, and they pull it back to within 12. That's Rios' second 3 of the evening.
Tough take there by Kranz. Rios, the past 2 games, has been fairly quiet, but the first game he was 4 for 4 from behind the arc. Oak Hills is going to need him to continue to do that if they want to continue and mount this comeback here.
Kranz at the line to shoot 2, gets the first one to go. 2:41 left in this first period. Another substitution by the Bulldogs. That's going to be number 2, Daniel Moore, checking in to replace Jeremiah Lark. Big fellow will get his first breather of the evening. Rios is going to check out. Asher McCullough comes back in. And he's their game breaker, Matt. Looks like Coach Alexander had we'll say a spirited conversation with him on the sideline, imploring him to step up and play big. Cross-court pass, another dangerous pass, but good catch by McCullough. Gets all the way down low. Looks like he fell, but still finds a way to get it to Landry. Looks like shaking up a little bit. Franz doesn't get stopped, but Moore cleans up that miss, and Bulldogs are going back the other way, Matt. This is what you gotta love to see if you're Oak Hills.
Yeah, you like to see McCullough right here. His coach challenged him, and he's responding as Jones with the and one bucket. And as we have a moment here, shout out to Grandma Nancy for tuning in as well with Aunt Lori. We saw Grandma Nancy here in person, actually.
We did. We got a chance to see Grandma Nancy. Came up to the booth, gave us a wave. Always nice to put a name to the face.
Very exciting. Glad she can make it out to this championship showdown here at the St. Francis Holiday Hoop Fest.
It's really been a great tournament all the way through, all weekend long, Matt. Great competition, great sportsmanship between all of these teams out here competing. And we've obviously are in store for another great game in this one.
Yeah, a ton of great games so far. I can't even count how many buzzer beater finishes we've had. Certainly hope to keep it rolling here tonight.
We have a change call. Looks like the sideline judge updated the call. Ball went off of Krantz's leg, so it's going to be Oak Hills basketball.
Oak Hills starting to get a little comfortable. They've cut the lead down to 9 as McCullough takes it in. That'll be a charge, though.
That's one of those ones that you hate to see if you're a Bulldogs fan, Matt. As you said, they're starting to get settled, starting to get into the rhythm. Cut the lead to a 9-point advantage for Mira Costa. That one swings the momentum, I should say, a little bit. But with just under 2 minutes left to play in the first quarter, this one definitely shaping up to be a competitive evening. Kranz bringing the ball back up the floor for the Mustangs. Armas muscles his way to the basket, can't get it to go. That rebound's on the floor, body's hitting the deck, and we've got it's like a jump ball whistle. Possession arrow is going to be with the Bulldogs.
Yeah, a big play, right? That was the key to the game. Do be big on the little things, right? Got scrappy, got on the ground, got the possession arrow in their way.
And that's got to be something that you got to expect Coach Alexander to be asking his team as McCullough's pass goes off the hands of Moore.
That right there is the opposite of big little things, though. Don't want an easy turnover there. We'll see how Mira Costa responds.
Nice block right there. That was Lark coming all the way through. McCullough in the backcourt trying to get it out. Gets it across the hash. Mustangs fly around, man. They fly around and really wreak havoc. Jones, his pull-up three. That one's just off, and De Armas had the rebound, had it knocked out.
I think that is Oak Hill's ball. Yeah, it looks like they're signaling Oak Hill's ball there. It looked like maybe De Armas touched that there at the end.
Yeah, it's gonna stay down here.
I'm interested to see how McCullough kind of settles into this game for Oak Hills. Last game against Pauley, he had the defensive matchup of stopping Giovanni Ruff, and he did a great job, held him 6 for 20. In this game, Oak Hills is going to need some of that offense that he had the first 2 games. Right now, he doesn't have a point, but he has initiated some good assists, so want to see how he continues to go here throughout.
He really is someone they rely on, Matt. They'll need him to get going. They're going to stay in this thing as Mira Costa makes them pay with a deep 3 right there.
Grandma Nancy's got to be happy to see her grandson Royce hitting that big 3-pointer here.
Last 23 seconds of the first quarter. Mira Costa will hold for what appears to be the final shot. No shot clock. Kranz with the ball. Kicks it over. De Armas Got about 6 seconds to operate. Good pressure defense from the Bulldogs. DeArma step back three, no good. Jones' shot wouldn't have count, just off the front rim. So after one, partner, 10-point advantage for the Mustangs. If you're head coach Neil Perlmutter, you probably like a lot of things that you saw. You got after it, right? The key to the game, they pressed Oak Hills very, very well, created some turnovers, but started to get a little sloppy with the play towards the end. Some ill-advised shots that obviously allowed Oak Hills to get back into this one.
Yeah, we're running and gunning here. A lot of fun, exciting stuff right off the bat. Oak Hills, as you mentioned, I thought they started to settle in a little bit, but still had a couple lapses, a couple key turnovers that helped Mira Costa maintain this 10-point lead. I think if you cut some of those out, we were maybe looking to go into the second quarter here more like 5-6 points. But I like what I'm seeing from both sides so far. We're cooking with gas.
I like it. I like it a lot. Obviously, for a championship matchup, you got to expect emotions are going to be high. These teams have been competing for the last 4 days. They took yesterday off, so had a chance to recharge, recuperate, and rest up a little bit. We knew it was going to be a big clash. There was going to be a lot of athleticism on the court as well. I think if you're Oak Hills, you have to continue to settle in. Keep taking advantage of those open spots. Obviously, again, with trapping scenarios, with the press break, like Mira Costa is known for running, or press, I should say, there's going to be those open opportunities, so they have to keep taking advantage. But Mira Costa doing a really good job of pretty much controlling that opening quarter.
Yeah, looking at the stats here, Mira Costa press really has been the difference. Oak Hills 6 turnovers in that first quarter.
Mira Costa swinging around. Solid defense by the Bulldogs, not really allowing anything to get inside. There's a 3-point attempt. Good closeout. Won't matter, though. That's a big shot. Bednar hits another bucket right there. And Bednar's up to 8 points on the evening.
Yeah, he's having a game. Didn't even play 10 minutes in the last one. I think he's already halfway to his total minutes.
Another turnover, this time in the front court. Jeremiah Lark felt the pressure of Bednar and also had to be feeling it for Mondello as they came up and forced that turnover.
This Mira Costa team is very consistent. We appreciate your feedback, Gary. Thank you for tuning in once again as Breiker gets his first basket of the ball game.
Gary's got to be happy with what he's seeing. Mira Costa Mustangs out to a 16-point lead. Bulldogs have lost all of the momentum they started to build up in that first period. There's another turnover. Kranz taking it away. Gets all the way to the cup. Scoop layup is good. Mira Costa pushes it to their largest lead of the evening. 6.5 left to play in this first half. Lark on the other end can't get the hammer to drop. They do retain possession. And it looks like too many steps. Daniel Moore packed his luggage but realized he wasn't cleared for takeoff, Matt. That's another turnover forced by the Mustangs. They are really getting it after it.
Yeah, Oak Hills looking to get their guys back in. Marlandry just checked in. Tough miss there by Lark. I know what he was trying to do, change the momentum a little bit.
And that's what you need. If you're Oak Hills, you've got to have those emotional plays, a big-time block, a big-time dunk, anything to keep the spirits up for the benches. Another deep three right there.
Breiker,
this time
back to back.
Breiker.
Yeah, the Bulldogs got to be careful. Still a lot of time left in this first half. Can't let this run by Mira Costa completely wipe them out if they want to stay in this.
Mira Costa doing a good job of limiting the Bulldogs to only one shot, really collecting those defensive rebounds as soon as they come off. As DeArmas gets hit across the head, he will take a trip to the line to shoot two. Mira Costa with a commanding 21-point lead with 5.5 left to play in the second quarter.
Mira Costa right now, too, not their normal guys putting in a lot of this work. DeArmas has 7 now after that make, but then we have Hammerschmidt with 8. We have Breiker with 8. Both of those are their highest totals so far.
And that's really obviously what we talked about when it comes to Coach Perlmutter's rotation scheme. He does a really great job of getting his guys into the game, keeping them fresh. And obviously he has to with them pressing at such a high rate, at such a high success rate as well. These guys got to stay fresh, and he does a good job of getting his guys in. I mean, any night, you never know. They're so deep, you don't know who's going to be the guy, and they do a good job of stepping up when their number's called. So there's going to be a foul on the Mustangs. This one will send Jalen Contreras to the free throw line to shoot 2.
Mira Costa is deep. Their last game, they scored 82 points total. 43 of those were from their bench. So more than half of their points came from their bench.
It's got to be a reason, Matt, why they're 16-0, ranked number 8th in the state. It's a high-powered offensive team. And as you said, they pretty much can get the offense from anywhere. Armas getting to the cup. That shot won't go. Landry collects the board, trying to get past before the defense has a chance to set up. And there's the quick hands of Bryson Breiker, knocking that one out.
Mira Costa might be one of the best defensive high school teams I've seen in a while, which is no surprise why they're in this spot here. And no surprise that each game has been a double-digit victory either. But what I just noticed there, right, they missed. Oak Hills was running. Mira Costa had 4 guys back.
They do a great job, Matt. They're one of the most disciplined teams that I think I've ever seen in definitely in high school basketball, high school sports, but just very well coached. Every player understands their role. They buy into the program. And again, it makes sense why this team has not had a loss on the season, as there's going to be a foul on a jump shot. Landry runs into Piuleni.
Yeah, not only
he's going to shoot 3.
Yeah, not only a jump shot. I was going to say that was a 3-pointer, not what you want to do there if you're Oak Hills. Coach Alexander searching a little bit here as frustration mounts and Mira Costa continues their dominance early.
You know, as you said, Matt, you kind of alluded to it. Obviously, Oak Hills came into this game off 2 very emotional wins. They had a big-time win with a game-winning shot at the buzzer by Mark Jones. Hit a crucial 3 that obviously lifted them to that semifinal game against Long Beach Poly. Then they played a Long Beach Poly team that a lot of people expected, obviously, to be in this championship game. They were the defending champion. They won this St. Francis Holiday Hoopfest tournament last year, so they obviously had a big target on their back. Oak Hills did a really good job coming out, gets an emotional victory. So back-to-back emotional victories. Do you think anything like that might be coming into play here? Obviously, that day off of rest might allow them to recover, but Oak Hills, especially to start this second quarter, just looking a little flat, looking like they're just a step behind.
Yeah, I think the consistency of Mira Costa really caught them by surprise. They handled it in that first quarter, but then Mira Costa came out more energy. Like you said, that bench is rotating, right? So they have fresh guys coming in. So that press was just as intense at the start of that second quarter as it was at the start of the game. It worked so far, and it's helped them mount this 20-point lead.
If you're Oak Hills, you just got to figure out a way to get something going. The Bulldogs looking a little bit tired out there. Coach Alexander searching for anybody that he can rely on in this moment to not only get some offense, but to step up and get a stop on defense, as Mira Costa has jumped out to a commanding 25-point lead, just over 3.5 left to play in this second quarter.
If you're Oak Hills, obviously you look at the scoreboard and you don't like the number. But you got to also think there's still a lot of time, right?
Tons of time.
And we did settle in that first quarter. We may not have finished the first quarter the way we wanted, but we did have our moments. McCullough gets a nice floater in the lane there. That for me, it feels like the only moment I've seen from Oak Hills this entire second quarter. We'll see if that can change anything for them.
That's Pax Bell hitting a big-time three. You know, Matt, he comes into the game and he provides some elite three-point shooting for the Mustangs. But I completely agree with what you were saying about Oak Hill. Oak Hill did a really good job of being a second-half team in the first couple of games as Pax gets another layup right there. He's got a quick 7 points off the bench for the Mustangs. There's another turnover. McCullough is dribbling it off his foot. DeArmas gets to the rack, no good. Bednar everywhere, gets that one to drop. And there's gonna be a quick timeout for what prevents probably what it might have been a turnover there by Oak Hills, but kind of to your point, Matt, Oak Hills has been a second-half team. Obviously down the hole, you're down 31 points. This is a monumental comeback if they're gonna be able to make it. I think at this point, to that same point, if you're a senior like Ashton McCullough, Jeremiah Lark, some of these upperclassmen that are on the team, you got to figure out a way to just will your team to victory, right? You kind of have to throw caution to the wind and say, hey, this is the championship game. This is the last game of the tournament. We just got to play for ourselves.
Yeah, Mira Costa so far doing everything right. Oak Hills struggling, as you mentioned, 31 points. That's a lot.
That's a deficit.
The good news, it is still the first half. You still have just about a half of the second quarter left as well. So if you want to start mounting that comeback, it starts now. Maybe they can bring that second half luck a little bit early.
I've always said the third quarter is the most important quarter of basketball. They probably definitely will be relying on that. But as you said, still plenty of time in this first half. If you could figure out a way to cut this to within 20, go on a little mini run, something just to take, a positive to take into the locker room, I think it'll do a great job of changing the psyche and the mentality of those young guys over there for Oak Hills. We'll see if they can turn it around this last 3:30. Meanwhile, the Mustang fans that are in the building letting their team know they are proud of this first half performance, have put 50 points on the board in the first half, Matt, well on their way to what might be the first 100-point game that we have from a team this tournament. It's Landry, tough take right there. There's an and one by the super sophomore. Much needed bucket. He's got 5 points on the night, and he will go to the line to try and complete the three-point play the old-fashioned way.
You know, I did not realize that Mar Landry was a sophomore.
He is, man. He plays bigger than his age would have you expect. He's been another key guy for the Bulldogs. A little bit quiet of an evening tonight. Obviously dealing with a lot of pressure from Lenny and DeArmas on the wing, but we'll see if they can get their sophomore sensation going. Mustangs with the ball in the front court. DeArmas thought he had a lob attempt, and there's Landry right there. Blocking that. On the other way, Noah's shot won't go. Tapped around, and Pax Bell's gonna come up with the rebound. Streaking to a Bednar, and that one's punched on the glass. Jeremiah Lark, big time block by the big fella.
Landry's got to be a little bit careful there.
Three is up, no good. Landry gets the tip and gets the bucket to drop right off the bat. Landry.
I think that was an and one, but he was fouled by his own teammate on that one.
They unfortunately won't call that one for the Bulldogs, but nonetheless, a nice little 5-0 run. Beautiful layup right there by the Mustangs. Max Jacobs get that one to drop.
Oak Hills seems to be finding a little bit of something here. Good no call there by the ref.
I was going to say, they're letting them play. That's what you like to see. You don't want the refs to dictate the game. As Pax Bell gets another layup on the other end. And this is exactly what you alluded to in the first quarter, Matt. If you're going to be trading baskets with a team like Mira Costa, you're in a losing battle each time.
Yeah, not only did they trade baskets, there a little bit of a defensive lapse as Pax Bell was wide open on the wing.
Armas finding Bednar. They almost
Good
had a nice
steal.
little give and go, but Jacobs, nice deflection to prevent any opportunity of Larkin getting a shot up as Coach Alexander is going to go to his bench. Landry's going to come out, replaced by Moises Rios. Mira Costa's Luke Hammerschmidt and Christian Kranz check back into the game.
Noah Walker's brought a nice presence to Oak Hills since he's checked in here.
Good find by the Bulldogs. They find it to their sharpshooter. Rios gets one to drop.
He's now 3 for 3 with that one.
Exactly as you said, Matt. They got to continue to ride the heat wave, but there's another defensive lapse. Luke Hammerschmidt had no one around him for a quarter mile.
Yeah, you gotta make sure that you check and find if anybody's behind you on defense. Good finish there by
transition
Lard.
bucket. Kranz slows it down, hands it off to Pax Bell at the top. It looks like he lost his footing. Good pressure defense, and that's a travel. Once you take a knee, Matt, you can't get back up. Good turnover force there from the pressure by Rios.
Nice little energy spurt here from Oak Hills to close out the half. Exactly what we were talking about coming out of that last timeout, right? It was kind of now or never.
There's a turnover. It looks like the pressure of Bell got to him. Nice little lob attempt. No good, but the finish. Lenny, the big fella, dropping down a two-hand tip jam. Lark on the other end trying to follow up, but that defense for Lenny is causing havoc. Got a back and forth last possession here. That layup's going to be good for the Bulldogs. Christian Kranz, three-quarter court shot. Looked like it might have a chance, but that one is no good. Mira Costa with a 25-point lead going into halftime, Matt. But if you're the Bulldogs, you gotta like what you saw that last 2.5 minutes there.
Right, we cut a 31-point lead to 25.
There you go.
6 off. It's a start. I still saw some things in there, right? We had a couple sloppy plays there. We had a missed dunk, right? So still a little bit of Oak Hills has to get a little bit more precise, right? Mira Costa is so deep. They are so disciplined. They are so consistent. You got to be ready to match them a little bit on that end. We'll see what it looks like coming out of half. We got to get out of here, though. Copyright music's playing. We don't want this stream to get taken down.
No,
we'll see you back here in about 10 minutes. Thank you for watching, and we appreciate all of the positive feedback. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, Lex, as we get ready here for the second half, anything on this graphic that surprises you or maybe stands out?
Yeah, I think a lot of things, Matt. I think obviously we knew coming into it that Mira Costa is an excellent three-point shooting team, so the fact that they're shooting at at 66% a clip isn't surprising. I think the two things that stand out to me the most, though, are the total rebounds. The rebounding war is nearly even, and the bench points. If you're Oak Hills, you got to ask yourself, where is this offense coming from? 24 bench points for the Mustangs. Obviously, we talked about it early. Coach Perlmutter, utilizing his rotation. So the offense has to come from somewhere. That's usually a guy for Oak Hills who can light it up. Moises Rios, whose three is off the mark. But 3 bench points, it's not going to get it done, Matt, against a team this deep like Mira Costa, especially when your starters haven't really been able to get that offensive gelling.
Yeah, Mira Costa's bench on the similar pace to last game where they had 43. And then again, those turnovers, right? It was a big key to the game here for Oak Hills was to handle that pressure. 14 turnovers in that first half. Struggled a little bit with it.
We will see if they have the same second half energy that they were able to come out with and stun Poly in that semifinal victory. Lob pass, De Armas gets it, draws the foul. This one could go against, it looks like it's actually going to go against Jeremiah Lark on the backside.
I am not sure about that one. I thought you maybe could have called on, who was that, McCullough in front of De Armas there, but I don't know about Lark with the block. That seemed pretty clean to me.
It definitely did to me as well, partner. I think obviously, especially like we saw in the end of that second quarter, they were really letting them play a lot of physical basketball back and forth. That's what you want to see, obviously. This is going to be competitive as De Armas drops 2 more in the bucket. He brings his point total up to, I believe, 14 for the evening.
Nice take by Landry there. The sophomore continuing to be a spark here for Oak Hills as they search for some type of comeback.
There's kind of another kind of chippy foul right there. That one's going to go against Christian Kranz for the Mustangs. So a couple of quick fouls here to start this opening half. Oak Hills down 25 against the number 8 team ranked in the state. Landry, pull-up 3 is no good.
Did you say number 8?
Number
18.
Number 18. Number 8 ranked team. Single digit. That's how good they are. De Armas shot doesn't go.
Yeah, no surprise.
16-0.
No surprise.
Looking to get their 17th. They might be well on their way to a perfect season. Mira Costa thought they had a turnover in the corner. Rios did a good job breaking out of that trap. Color tried to find a cutting Lark downside, but it goes off the outstretched arms of the Mustangs.
Yeah, the Mustangs are long, right? So when you start driving in, they got a lot of arms in there that you got to fend through.
McCullough on the block, and he's going to draw a reach-in foul on Piuleni. That one looks like we'll be in the act of shooting, so we've got 2 free throws.
I like that play there. They were able to get both of Mira Costa's big men out of the paint, got McCullough posted up on De Armas. He was able to get the foul. I think we're going to need to see more of that. Mira Costa had 24 to 16 paint point for Oak Hills. No surprise, though, really, with Mira Costa's length that they did dominate inside. But I like Oak Hills trying to get those big men out because it'll only open up the lanes for McCullough, for Landry, for Jones.
I agree, Matt. One of the reasons that Mira Costa had such an advantage in the paint as well, they were getting a lot of those transition layups, quick steals, scoring layups on the other end. So we'll see if that trend holds up in this second half.
Yeah, Mira Costa 26 points off of turnovers in that first half, which is just barely less than half of their total points.
De Armas with a beautiful turnaround jumper. And it looks like he's got a steal right here. That one floated forever. Beautiful up and under. A little too much English. That one didn't even come close.
They got a little too fancy on that one.
He's trying to go around the world a little bit. You can tell he wants that one back.
He's had a couple nice dunks this tournament. I thought we might have had a chance to see our first takeoff from him tonight.
I thought, honestly, partner, I thought we were going to get a poster. I thought we were going to get the matchup in the air of one of the Oak Hills high flyers against Jacob De Armas, as you mentioned. But obviously a game that Mira Costa probably feels like they're in control. But the spooky thing about this Oak Hills team, they just won't go away. And we saw that in those first 2 games that got them there.
Yeah, I'm certainly not great at math, but I think it's still a 25-point lead here for Mira Costa. So I think there's a positive and negative in that if you're Oak Hills, right? Positive, you've kind of withstood. This has been the danger zone of every quarter for you, right? Mira Costa has come out very strong, extended their lead. So you've been able to keep it in the same spot here, but every minute here, you lose some time to chip down that lead. Getting down from 25, really originally 31, isn't an easy task, and you're going to need every second along the way.
Well, it's exactly like you say, Matt. At some point, the amount of possessions you get as a team that's in the hole, that window starts to close, and you got to wonder if Oak Hills' time is running out as Christian Kranz drops a nice floater in the lane. He's got 6 points on the evening. He was last game's player of the game. A great semifinal game as Landry draws the foul.
Yeah, he had 10 and 5 in that game. That last game, excuse me. And that 5 was 5 assists. Yeah, he's been really impressive these last 2. Really stepped up, for sure.
That's what you expect from a senior like Kranz as Landry gets the first one to drop.
Landry's really been that kind of steady presence so far in this game for Oak Hills. Every time Mira Costa starts to maybe try and open it up a little bit more, Landry's been there keeping Oak Hills in it somewhat.
It's kind of like you said, Matt, they've got a handful of guys that have been able to provide them timely buckets. They just haven't been able to get stopped. Backs Bell. Beautiful spin move, can't get the bucket to drop, and Oak Hills is going to go the other way.
Great pass there by McCullough.
Landry. Great pass indeed, Matt. They cut the lead to 23. This is, like you said, that danger zone. This team just won't go away. They're starting to feel it a little bit as Kranz tries to settle the Mustangs into their offense. Just under 5 left to play in this opening quarter. It's my favorite quarter of basketball right here. Kranz working against Jones, pull-up jumper, no good. Landry with a tough snag of a board. Miracles are falling right back into that press. This is where it can get treacherous if you are the offense. De Armas tips that one out of bounds, Matt.
Tough pass to make there, right? Going cross-court against Mira Costa and their length, it's tough. You got to put a lot of zip on that pass. Lucky that De Armas only got a finger on that one. Otherwise, we could have been looking at 2 the other way.
Wouldn't have been mad with a guy like De Armas making that steal. We probably would have gotten a highlight reel of a dunk. As Pax Bell forces that turnover right there.
Great trap there.
De Armas walks into a 3. That one's up, that one's down. He's got 15 points on the evening. Senior doing a great job of leading his team and what they hope will be a championship victory as Lart gets the bucket at the other end.
The Mustangs are so good at scoring off of turnovers. They get out and run really well.
De Armas, if it succeeds once, try again. He's got a back-to-back 3, game high 18 points on the evening, and another turnover by the Mustangs. These boys are out and running. De Armas, went upstairs, just couldn't bring it home.
This is starting to feel a little bit like that point in the quarter where Mira Costa starts to take over a little bit later in this third quarter than the others, as Lark answers here and gets the lead back to 25.
.316 left in this third quarter. It's a bucket attempt, no good. That one's blocked by Mar Landry, but not before the foul.
Yeah,
Riker will go to the line.
Yeah, that one's going against Walker. Got his hand a little bit caught in the cookie jar there.
A couple substitutions getting ready to check in for Neil Perlmutter and the Mustangs. Luke Hammerschmidt, as well as Luke Lowell. The Luke boys coming into the game, and Daniel Moore will check back in for the Bulldogs. Really would have liked to see DeArmas put that one down. That would have been a nice highlight reel for us.
We've seen a lot of missed dunks. I think that's our third missed dunk today.
I think you're right. Lark had a couple of misses in the first half. That would have been nice attempts on his end. Oak Hills gets the ball across the court, half-court line, and throws it away immediately.
Riker looked like he got hit in the head on that one.
No calling on the other end. Mark Jones, his three is no good as McCullough gets the board. Can't get that one to drop, but a good rebound and put back by Moore. McCullough's everywhere. His fingerprints are all over the game, Matt. He obviously kind of has been their go-to guy. He's got to be feeling probably a little bit of fatigue, him having an outsized role in that victory against Long Beach Poly, going up against Giovanni Ruff, but he's doing all he can to keep his team in this game.
Nice finish. Pax Bell has been impressive every game.
Every single game, he's solid.
It seems like he gets better each time we watch him as well.
You know, Matt, I don't know if he's got a nickname, but I'm going to go ahead and give him one. Mr. Reliable, just super consistent and a guy that always gets a bucket right when the Mustangs seem to need it to counterbalance any momentum the other team is putting up. Good take there by Noah Walker. Can't get the bucket to drop. The Mustangs control that defensive
Tough going
glass.
in the trees there, though. Hammerschmidt came over and definitely caused some problems.
Coach Alexander wanted to negotiate that call. Looks like he's arguing his player's jersey might have been held, and that led to the bump.
Yeah, I heard him talking a little earlier as well. It sounded like he wants maybe some of the same calls down on this end for Oak Hills when they're on offense.
Max Jacobs to the line to shoot two for the Mustangs. First one's dropped. And Coach Perlmutter's going to go ahead and bring a couple more guys into the game. P. Lenny checks back in, as well as Royce Riley.
This is where it gets tough if you're Oak Hills, because you're 2 minutes to go here. You've had an okay third quarter here. The lead has gone a little bit extended here by Mira Costa, but Mira Costa is now checking in all fresh new guys. And you have your same five that have predominantly been playing this entire game.
It's one of the reasons, Matt, this team is so dangerous. They have so many weapons on both the offensive and defensive end. And fatigue's got to be a factor for Oak Hills. They're trying to commence a huge come-from-behind victory, and that's a big-time bucket there by Jeremiah Lark. Deep three. Lead hovering kind of around that 26, 25-point mark. Matt, about a minute and a half left to play in this third quarter. Oak Hills has to be happy. This is their best quarter of basketball so far.
Yeah, we're going to have to start making a dent in this lead, though. We can't keep trading baskets if we want to make any type of comeback. Tough left-hand floater there. Misses, grabs his own rebound, and misses again, unfortunately, there for McCullough.
P. Lenny at the other end, can't get that bucket to drop. Just under a minute left in the third quarter. They dump it down to Hammerschmidt. Good drop step by the big fella, and he draws the foul. on McCullough. That's going to be McCullough's 4th personal foul, Matt, and that's what you don't want to see if you are the Oak Hills Bulldogs.
You got to help this guy. This guy cannot play baseline. He cannot referee baseline.
Yeah, that's a tough one for Oak Hills. I'm not sure if anybody caught that, but some frustration out of Coach Alexander there on the last call.
Hammerschmidt can't get the first one to drop, and he will be replaced. Ashton McCullough is going to get a breather. Jalen Contreras checks back into the game. This is where a guy like Mark Jones, another super senior for the Bulldogs, and Jeremiah Lark, a junior that they've relied on heavily, this is where guys like that have to step up if this game is going to remain competitive for the Bulldogs. Hammerschmidt gets the 2nd free throw to go down.
Yeah, definitely going to need Mark Jones and Lark to step up. I don't know how long you can keep McCullough on the bench either. I know he has 4 fouls, but he's one of your main drivers of this engine.
His 3rd and Costa's 4th.
Nice first make by Lark there to take him to 12 points on the day, and that is the team high for the Oak Hills Bulldogs.
Hey, Drew, wait. What do you want?
Or is it supposed to be 11?
Second one goes down for the Bulldogs, and they're trying their own full court pressure. It looks like just straight up man defense to try and force Mira Costa into any turnover. There's one right there. De Armas errant pass to
and he's going to shoot on the other end as well, as that's the 5th team foul for Mira Costa. So a bit of a break here for Oak Hills.
This is what they have to hope to do, Matt. If they're going to get back into this game, they got to score with the clock stopped any way that they can. Continue to force Mira Costa maybe to get into any type of foul trouble. The only player really with any type of foul trouble consideration right now is Luke Hammerschmidt. He's got 4, so it looks like Coach Perlmutter might be going to his bench to get the big fella out. That's exactly what he does. Bednar's going to check back into the game for the Mustangs, as well as Riker. And that's the thing, Matt, about the Mustangs. They're so deep. Just when you think, oh man, we did such a good job, we've got a game breaker in Hammerschmidt coming out. It's a guy like Bednar coming right back into the game, who's already chipped in a good 8 points. So there's no real relief for this team, as Bednar's bucket right there gets another easy deuce on the layup.
I like the press earlier from Oak Hills, the possession before, when Mira Costa had maybe a little bit more of their bench in the game, not some of their main guys. Like, let's challenge them. Let's get them a little bit nervous. Now that we've gone back to, pretty much an entire starting lineup here, minus Hammerschmidt, as that one almost falls. We've had a couple end of quarter shots here almost fall. But I'm not sure I want to press Mira Costa's main lineup, right? They've shown that they're poised, they're disciplined, they're not going to make mistakes. They're going to wait for you to make mistakes, as we saw on that first possession of press against them, where Oak Hills gambles a little easy layup on the Mira Costa end.
I think that's the challenging thing, Matt. Obviously, the real key takeaway, if you're Oak Hills, as much as we'd like to say, hey, you're back into the game, still a 22-point deficit. But again, if you're Coach Alexander, you got to be telling your guys, hey, this is it. You get 8 minutes, one last quarter to really bring it to this team and try and obviously go on a run here. You need probably a couple of quick baskets and a couple of stops on the other end. It's a tall order when obviously Mira Costa's pretty much been clicking all night.
Yeah. The good news, though, if you are Coach Alexander in that huddle, this is the first quarter we won, right? We went in here down 25. We're now down 22. We didn't win by the same margins that Mira Costa's been winning these quarters by, but hey, we won our first quarter. Like you said, let's throw it all out there now. Let's see what we can do.
It will come down to this, 8 minutes left. That's got to be my absolute favorite part. fourth quarter shout out. 8 minutes of ball left to play to see who will be crowned the 2024 St. Francis Holiday Hoopfest champion. It's been a great tournament all the way around. We've had teams from all over California, a couple of schools from the NorCal region where Seska is from, actually.
I think there's only 2 teams from, or 1 team, excuse me, from
Kings Academy? Is
just the Kings Academy, yeah, out of Sunnyvale.
Oak Hill's trying to get some rhythm going. Piulani neutralizes the defense on that one. He's got a quick bucket. He's got 6 points on the evening. Kind of a quiet night for him. Hasn't really been called upon on offense, but he's been everywhere defensively, getting block shots and wreaking havoc, making it tough for the Bulldogs to really find their offensive rhythm in the paint.
Yeah, not only has he been everywhere, he has 6 assists on the night as well. So really helping to find teammates and get them involved.
Contreras, he hits his second 3 of the night, Matt. He's got 7 points for the Bulldogs. 21-point game here.
One way to make a comeback is to trade 2s with 3s. You will get a 1-point advantage each time.
That might be the only silver lining they can look to if they are going to trade baskets. Contreras picks up a foul. Oak Hills with a couple of replacements. Moises Rios for the Bulldogs, as well as Ashton McCullough. He's got those 4 fouls. It'll be interesting to see how aggressive he's able to be on the defensive end. He doesn't want to get another one, I'm sure, disqualified from this contest. Walk-in 3, that one's off the front rim.
Would have liked to see that one drop.
It looks like we've got some help. Ref's going to confer, and it's going to be Oak Hills basketball. A little bit sloppy of play here. Coach Perlmutter can't be happy. Obviously, their largest lead of the evening was close to 40 points, Matt. Down to 21 with 6:20 left to play. And Oak Hills with a little bit of momentum. Like you said, they won that third quarter. As Mark Jones, his 3 won't go. Tip out collected by Christian Kranz.
If Oak Hills is able to get the lid as we go for an alley-oop out of bounds, I mean, Mira Costa's given them a little bit of chances here. Like I mentioned, if some of these shots can fall from Oak Hills, we haven't seen Mira Costa get tested at all this tournament, right? Every win has been double digits. If Oak Hills can do anything to make them nervous, we could see exactly how Mira Costa is going to respond. It would definitely be a new emotion for them having to play with a little bit of angst in the air. Wonder if that can do anything for Oak Hills as we go here. But again, Oak Hills has to get to that point before we can even see any of that.
That will be the challenge as Mark Jones driving to the lane, kicks it out. One more swing, finds McCullough, and there's another foul by the Mustangs, committed on the Mustangs. So clock will stop, 5:46. It'll be sideline out of bounds, or it looks like they change a baseline out of bounds. Coach Perlmutter's going to bring McCarthy Bendner, Jack Mondello back into the game for the Mustangs. Bulldogs fresh shot clock. Trying to get any offensive rhythm going to get back into this one. Lark up and under, that layup won't go, but there's McCullough, big time put back bucket by McCullough, and Coach Alexander calling a timeout. Matt, you gotta be excited if you're a Bulldogs fan. They're slowly fighting, crawling back into this game. 19-point advantage for the Mustangs, 5:24 left. Coach Perlmutter cannot be happy with what it appears to be his team taking their foot off the gas.
Yeah, I mean, we have a different digit now, right? We just went from 2 to 1.
That does a lot to the psyche of those players as well. Obviously, when you get down 30, 20 points, that seems demoralizing. Now you got to start to feel, if you're the Bulldogs, hey, we might be able to get back into this thing.
Slowly chipping here. 5 minutes, 30 seconds roughly to go. Not a lot of time for error, though, right? We got to continue the consistency that we've seen and the discipline that we've seen from Mira Costa. That now needs to come from Oak Hills and maybe get a little luck on our side as well.
5:24 is all that's left in this one, unless there is an overtime period. As you mentioned, Matt, Mira Costa has not won by fewer than 15 points this entire tournament. They are 16-0 on the season. There's a turnover right there by the Bulldogs. A lob attempt to McCullough, and we've got another bucket by McCullough. He's back in the game, 4 quick points, and none bigger than those 2 right there.
Yeah, that takes him to 8 on the day.
Exactly like you said, they get it to their senior point guard. Kranz with the ball, trying to settle his team down, reestablish their own rhythm. DeArmas has it now, 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Operating, isolating. Good defense by the Bulldogs. Gets all the way to the basket, can't get that one to drop. Collects his own rebound, brings it down. Looks like it's loose ball. And we've got a timeout called by the Bulldogs.
No, is it a timeout or is it?
I think it's a timeout based on the initial call. Teams walking to their bench. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a timeout, Matt. Coach Perlmutter looks like having a conversation with the ref. Ref confirms the call, Matt. So huge momentum shift right now. The Bulldogs pull within 17. 4:31 left to play. We got the chance to see their press lead to a Mira Costa turnover, something that we haven't really seen from the Mustangs really at all.
Yeah, I'm sure Mira Costa is going to start getting their guys in. I see Hammerschmidt already coming to the scores table to check in. One thing, that timeout, Oak Hills only has 1 left now. So I thought potentially that was going to go to a jump ball, which is why I was like, did they really call a timeout? Because with only 1 now, still a lot of time left, but possessions are everything.
We will see if that one comes back to haunt him. McCullough can't get the bucket to drop, but Lark is cleaning it up, doing the dirty work down low. The big fella getting his 15th point of the night. He pulls Oak Hills back to 15, to within 15, 4 minutes left to play. This extended press seems to be causing a little bit of pressure for the Mustangs, Matt. They're looking a little bit more tentative on offense than we're used to seeing.
This is a little bit of what I was talking about earlier, right? They haven't really played any close games all tournament. 15 points isn't necessarily a close game just yet, as Hammerschmidt takes it back to 17. But we're getting to new territory here a little bit for Mira Costa. Nice response from them so far. We'll see how Oak Hills comes back as the nice pass inside, but Rios is going to draw a foul.
Big time play right there. That'll stop the clock with 3:31 left to play, exactly like you felt. It's kind of crazy, partner, the fact that we're sitting here talking about it's a closer game, obviously, with still a 17-point advantage with Mira Costa. They've led wire to wire. They jumped out to an early 9-0 lead. But this is obviously what you gotta want to see if you're Oak Hills, right? If you're the coaching staff or you're a Bulldogs player, they're bringing in their super sophomore Mar Landry back into the game as Jeremiah Clark is going to get a breather. But exactly like you said on the other end, when Mira Costa needed a bucket, they find the big fella Luke Hammerschmidt down low. He delivers per usual.
Lark coming out triggers a bit of a flag for me for Oak Hills. He is such a presence for them inside. Hammerschmidt is so large in there. Landry has some size to him as well, but like I said before, Oak Hills doesn't have or only has 1 timeout, and I'm not going to burn my last timeout with 3 minutes just to get Lark in, right? So we're going to have to wait for a dead ball to be able to get him back in. Could be dangerous territory.
We're waiting to get a call here. We got a jump ball. Possession arrow is with the Bulldogs, so another opportunity that the Bulldogs take advantage of. 3 minutes left, 15-point deficit.
That explains why Coach Alexander called that timeout earlier. He wanted to save the jump ball possession arrow. He knew another scrap on the ground was coming.
It appears he might have known. That's a 10-second backcourt violation. Error right there by the Bulldogs after they get a big-time stop. So it'll be Mira Costa basketball back in the front court for the Mustangs.
That is a tough mistake there. It goes kind of 2 folds, right? You get the jump ball, possession arrow goes your way, but then you immediately turn it over without even getting a shot, and now the possession arrow is against you. Mira Costa slowing it down here. I imagine they're going to want to use as much of this shot clock as they can to help shorten the possessions left in the game.
They find the big fella, Piuleni, gets the bucket right there. And that's exactly what they got to rely on. Finding their guys. DeArmas, Piuleni, and Hammerschmidt when he's in the game. Kranz has stepped up usually in the clutch as well. McCullough, tough foul, and one big-time bucket from the senior.
Just when you want to be like, maybe that last Piuleni bucket was the end here, we get an and one with McCullough. Oak Hills, these Bulldogs, they don't like to go down.
They're scrappy bunch of players Coach Alexander has in his program, trying to fight for an opportunity to win a championship here. As Mira Costa collects another rebound. 2 minutes left, exactly like you said, Matt, starting to run out of possessions, down 15, and haven't been able to string enough stops against Mira Costa to really be able to make a definitive run here. Mira Costa continuing to do a good job burning clock here.
Yeah, they were trapping earlier in this possession. Maybe want to bring some of that throughout the entire time. Just get that ball swinging, even if it's going to leave some of these Mustangs open.
We've got an over the back foul. Piuleni's going to be called for that one.
Oak Hill's going to shoot on this. That's the 5th team foul for Mira Costa. So potential for them to get 2 points here without running any time off the clock.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, partner. Mira Costa now in the, or excuse me, 5 team fouls, so Oak Hill's in the bonus. Oak Hills only has 1 foul. They've got 4 more fouls to give before Mira Costa's at the line. That obviously plays into how aggressive that they're trying to be in wreaking havoc and trying to get some turnovers against the Mustangs. Lark's first free throw leaves it on the front of the rim. You got to take advantage of all opportunities when you can. You can't get that one to drop. 1:38 left to play. The air's starting to get a little thin, partner. I don't know if the Bulldogs are going to have enough to pull it out, especially when they leave both 2 free throws on the board like that. Kranz pulls down, gets the pass, nice no-looker. They kick it back out, and Mira Costa doing a good job pulling it out. Like you said, Matt, they're trying to burn as much clock as possible. They know they are 1:20 away from another championship.
Yeah, Mira Costa showing that high level of discipline there as well. Riker potentially had a layup down there, but decided to kick it out in general just to extend more of that clock. As we close in on the final minute here, for those of you all watching, first of all, thank you. But when this buzzer ends, please do not go away. We will have a short awards ceremony following.
Final minute of the game, and this one, as the late, great Chick Hearn would say, is in the refrigerator. Mira Costa gonna coast to victory. Mustangs really were not challenged at all in this tournament, apart from maybe 3.5 minutes in this one, as Kranz puts the spin cycle to use. Had a couple extra quarters to use on that one, Matt. He gets the bucket to drop, and that's gotta feel like an exclamation point for an overall beautiful tournament that was played, coached by Neil Perlmutter, and played by the Mira Costa Mustangs.
Yeah, we have a timeout here by Coach Alexander. I'm sure he's working in his best 15-point play as we speak.
You know, this is, of all the things that we've seen this weekend, Matt, that probably wouldn't be the first thing that shocked me. We've had it all, as you mentioned. We had some great dunks, some buzzer beaters. We've had heightened drama. We've had some great battles on the court. Overall, this 2024 edition of the St. Francis Holiday Hoop Fest has been one for the storybooks.
Yeah, it's been great, and how impressive has Mira Costa been throughout, right? We've had so many great games, and they've just been a steady team every time. I don't want to say they've given us boring games because there's been a lot of highlights throughout, but you know, there's a reason they're the #8 team in the state.
I think that's why, if you are a Mustangs fan or you're just a fan of good basketball, you can get behind what the Mustangs have been able to do, top to bottom. Pretty much flawless tournament, and we will see who ultimately will take home that tournament MVP trophy. They burned another timeout as they weren't able to get the ball inbounded, but kind of to your on the other side, Matt, to your point, obviously a lot of basketball to be played for the remainder of the season. If you're a team like Oak Hills, although you suffer a defeat like today, you get some valuable experience against one of the best teams in the state. That's got to be something that they can obviously go back home to, take back to the drawing board, and when league starts up for them, they'll probably utilize some of the things they learned here.
Yeah, this wasn't the result that Oak Hills wanted coming into this game, but I think when they look at the tournament overall, probably is, right? Every game they came into, they were the underdog, and they managed to make it all the way to the championship game. Very impressive.
Gotta at least take some consolation in a hard-fought second place prize, as Mira Costa looks like will dribble this one out. Shot clock not a factor. Coach Alexander instructed his guys not to foul. We've got to dap up at center court of two of the players. And Mira Costa Mustangs are your 2024 St. Francis Holiday Hoopfest champions. They do a run of the gauntlet, pretty much have a flawless victory in each game. I don't think they lost any, or excuse me, won any game by any fewer than 15 points. Mira Costa Mustangs get to rest easy at this one and add another victory to their already perfect season. They improve to 17-0, Matt.
What a game, what a tournament. Excited to see these awards. Who is your prediction for MVP here from Mira Costa?
You know, you really could give it to a number of guys, right? Obviously, we talked about pretty much all tournament. They did a great job of getting guys going. They had a couple of, obviously, star players to watch. I think when it comes down to it, top to bottom, the guy for me that was everywhere on the court, both on the offensive end, defensive end, kind of had his fingerprints all over the game. I think it's a no-brainer to give it to Jacob De Armas. He led the way tonight with 18 points, also chipped in 5 rebounds, had 2 assists and 4 steals. I mean, the kid was everywhere, had the third highest plus-minus as well of the game for their team. So he would be my pick if I had an MVP vote. I do not, but I think him and the rest of his team played a phenomenal tournament. Excited to see what's more to come for them as well.
Yeah, and that would be my pick as well. And really fast here before we pass over to the award ceremony, just thank everyone again for tuning in. This has been a great St. Francis Holiday Hoop Fest with the culmination of Mira Costa being our 2024 champions. I don't have anything else to say. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you for joining, and we'll toss to the awards ceremony now.
Okay. Great. Okay.
First team,
Grands. Yep.
and then second team, Matt Bednar.
No, do the coaches first.
Already did.
Oh, can you do it one more time?
Once again, your coaches, Rob Alexander, the head coach for Oak Hills, his assistants Rodney Clark, Ray Craven, Rocky Moore, Matt Smith, Chris Stallworth, and Joe Yesback. And for the champion Mira Costa Mustangs, Neil Perlmutter, and his assistants Neil Hyams, Jordan Mays, Greg Sarkeesian, Jay Stewart, and Gordon Sutton.
Okay, go ahead.
And now for the individual awards, beginning with the second team awards. There's one each for Oak Hills and Mira Costa. Our first second team award goes to Oak Hills, Mar Landry.
Go ahead.
And our next second team award goes to Mira Costa's Mac Bednar.
First team? Yep, go ahead.
And now on to our first team individual awards. From Oak Hills are Mark Jones and Jeremiah Lark.
first team. Yep, for them. Go ahead.
Right now?
Go ahead.
Our first team award for Mira Costa, Christian Kranz.
And then MVP.
And your MVP of the 2024 St. Francis Holiday Hoop Fest, Jacob de Almas.
Second place to Oak Hills Bulldogs.
And the second place award to the Oak Hills Bulldogs. And our champion award to the Mira Costa Mustangs. The undefeated Mira Costa Mustangs.